Out in the stillness of the water, a ghost ship sits wrapped in fog. Its silhouette is a monument to a forgotten time, a dark shape against a gray, unforgiving sky. The air is thick with the smell of salt and decay. Up close, the story of its decline is written on every surface. Rust bleeds down its steel plates in long, weeping streaks of orange and brown. This is a vessel that has been left for dead, abandoned by its purpose and surrendered to the slow, relentless power of the ocean. The atmosphere around it is one of profound emptiness. The waves lap gently against the hull, a lonely sound in the vast, quiet expanse. There are no signs of life, no crew on deck, no engines humming in its belly, no lights burning in its portholes. It is a hollow shell, a floating relic that has outlived its usefulness. Everything about it speaks of an ending, a final chapter written not with triumph, but with the quiet resignation of something that has been completely given up on. It is a picture of total abandonment, a steel giant put out to pasture in a watery grave, waiting for the inevitable call to the scrapyard. And then, in a sudden, jarring transition, the scene shifts. The fog lifts and the night is illuminated. What was once a derelict hulk is now a beacon of warmth and splendor. Sleek, modern lights trace its historic lines, reflecting elegantly on the dark water below. The corroded metal has been replaced with polished surfaces, pristine white paint. Through its windows, one can see the soft glow of luxurious interiors, where once there was only darkness and decay. This is no longer a ghost ship. It has been reborn into something entirely new, a magnificent floating hotel that defies its own history of abandonment and ruin. The transformation is so complete, so absolute, that it seems impossible. It poses a fundamental question that hangs in the air, more potent than the fog it replaced. How could something so worthless, so close to being dismantled and forgotten forever, become a symbol of luxury and success? This is not just a restoration, it is a resurrection. The journey from a rusty, abandoned vessel to a gleaming hotel is a story that challenges our understanding of what is possible. It forces us to reconsider the very nature of an asset and the moment we decide it has lost all its worth. What if a dead asset was actually worth millions? This is a story about a ship that everyone considered worthless. It was not a new vessel, gleaming with the promise of modern technology, nor was it functional, capable of traversing the great oceans as it once did. It was a 95-year-old structure that had been completely written off. Maritime experts, engineers, financial analysts all reached the same logical conclusion. Its time was over. The cost of repairs was astronomical, far exceeding any practical value it held. The only sensible option, the only path forward, was to scrap it forever. To break it down piece by piece, until nothing remained of its long and storied past. Yet, where the world saw only scrap metal and insurmountable costs, one man saw something else entirely. He looked past the rust and the decay, past the expert opinions and the financial spreadsheets. He saw a secret hidden in plain sight, a potential that was invisible to everyone else. Inside the forgotten, decaying structure of this ancient vessel, he envisioned a luxury hotel. He saw a future where its history was not a liability to be erased, but a unique feature to be celebrated. He saw a commercial opportunity where others saw only a financial black hole, a vision that was as bold as it was unconventional. This single, defiant vision sets the stage for a journey that seems to defy logic. It prompts a question that lies at the very heart of this incredible story. Why? Why would anyone invest millions of dollars into something the world had already given up on? What kind of belief, or perhaps madness, drives a person to pour a fortune into a project that every expert deemed a failure before it even began? This essay will trace the improbable life of this ship, from its birth in 1914 to its celebrated career and its near demise. We will investigate its journey from a humble cargo vessel named the SS Medina, through multiple identities, to its celebrated role as the world's largest floating book fair. We will then explore the moment of its decline and the audacious investment that saved it from oblivion, This is not just the story of a ship's transformation. It is an exploration of vision, resilience, and the mysterious nature of value itself. It is a story that asks us to look deeper, to question what we see, and to consider that true worth can often be found where no one else is looking. The story begins not in fog and rust, but in the fire and thunder of a world on the brink of change. The year is 1914. In the bustling shipyards of Newport News, Virginia, a new vessel is taking shape. This is the Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company, a titan of American industry. The ship being born from its docks is not a warship, but a humble cargo steamer commissioned by the Mallory Steamship Company. It is christened the SS Medina. As the SS Medina slides into the waters for the first time, no one could possibly foresee the century-long journey that lies ahead. Its initial purpose is straightforward and unglamorous: to serve the commercial trade routes along the American coast. It is a workhorse, designed for reliability, capacity, not for fame or glory. The ship's construction is a marvel of early 20th century engineering. Its riveted steel hull is immensely strong. This inherent durability would become the single most important factor in its unlikely survival. The life of a ship is often told through its name, and this vessel would have many. Its first identity change came in 1948. The SS Medina was sold. Its new owner was a Panamanian company. With that came a new name, Roma. It was converted from a cargo ship into a passenger vessel, designed to carry migrants and travelers across the Atlantic. For a time, it ferried hopeful souls from post-war Europe to Australia and to South America. But this identity was temporary. By 1952, the ship was sold to Italian Loro Lines. It was renamed MS Franca C. Under that guise, it was refitted again, becoming a modern passenger liner on routes between Italy and the Caribbean. For over 2 decades, it sailed as the Franca C, a symbol of post-war tourism. From Medina to Roma, from Roma to Franca C, the ship proved its adaptability. Cargo hauler, migrant transport, cruise liner. Each identity brought a new purpose, a new look, and new routes. By the mid-1970s, the Franca C was aging. The world of passenger cruising was rapidly modernizing, and the nearly 60-year-old ship was struggling to compete. But for this vessel, another, even more radical transformation was on the horizon. In 1977, it was acquired by a German non-profit, Good Books for All. Their plan: convert the vessel into the world's largest floating book fair. The ship was purchased, renamed the MV Doulos. Doulos, Greek for servant, a fitting title for a ship about to embark on a mission of service. The transformation began immediately. Cabins and lounges were converted into exhibition spaces, capable of holding over 500,000 books. The mission: bring knowledge, help, and hope to port cities worldwide. For over 3 decades, the MV Doulos sailed the oceans as a beacon of knowledge and cross-cultural understanding. From 1977 to 2009, the ship visited over 600 ports in more than 100 countries. For many visitors, especially in developing nations, the Doulos offered their first-ever opportunity to access a wide range of quality literature. It is estimated that over 22 million visitors crossed its gangways. Crewed entirely by volunteers from around the globe, they were the heart of the ship. As the years passed, the ship itself became a living museum. The Doulos was recognized by the Guinness World Records as the world's oldest active ocean-going passenger ship. It was a bridge between eras, a servant carrying knowledge into the modern world, all powered by the enduring strength of its 1914 hull. Even the strongest steel must eventually bend to the relentless pressure of time. By the late 2000s, the MV Doulos was approaching a century of service, and the strain was beginning to show. The cost of maintaining such an old vessel had been steadily climbing for years. The ship was becoming a financial vortex. Global maritime regulations had grown increasingly stringent. For a ship built in 1914, meeting these modern requirements was a monumental challenge. Compliance was not optional. The volunteer engineers worked tirelessly to keep the old machinery running. But it was an unsustainable situation. The spirit of the Doulos was willing, but its steel body was weak. The moment of truth arrived in 2009. During a scheduled dry dock inspection in Singapore, surveyors delivered the news that everyone had been dreading. The estimated cost for the necessary repairs was over 10 million euros, a sum that was simply impossible for a non-profit organization to raise. This figure was not a negotiation. It was a death sentence. With heavy hearts, they announced the MV Doulos would be decommissioned. Its 32-year mission as the world's largest floating book fair was over. The official decision was made. The ship would be sold for scrap. It would be towed to a shipbreaking yard. Its historic steel would be cut apart, melted down, recycled. Its identity, its story, its century-long journey through history, all of it would be erased in the fire of the scrapyard furnace. The case seemed closed. Just as the final chapter was being written, an unexpected character entered the story. His name was Eric Saw, a Singaporean businessman, a hotelier, an entrepreneur with a keen eye for opportunities that others missed. He stepped aboard the silent, decommissioned ship, not to say goodbye, but to investigate. He saw beyond the peeling paint, the worn-out decks, the daunting list of required repairs. He envisioned transforming the vessel not back into a seafaring ship, but into a permanent, land-based luxury hotel. He saw its history not as a liability to be fixed, but as a unique selling proposition. In 2010, while the maritime world prepared the ship's obituary, Eric Saw made his move. He bought the MV Doulos. The sale was a shock to many. Eric Saw's initial plan was ambitious, to keep the newly christened Doulos Phos, Servant of Light, in Singapore. However, the path forward quickly became entangled in a web of bureaucratic red tape. After nearly 5 years of fighting a losing battle, the painful reality set in. The Singapore plan was not going to work. It was a major setback. His search for a new home led him just across the Singapore Strait to the nearby Indonesian island of Bintan. Crucially, the local authorities on Bintan were enthusiastic about it. In 2015, the journey began. The Doulos Phos was carefully towed out of its Singaporean limbo and across the open water to Bintan Island. It was a slow, majestic procession, a symbolic passage from bureaucratic failure to a new promise of success. Upon its arrival, an even more audacious engineering feat was undertaken to haul the entire ship out of the water and place it on a permanent foundation on dry land. This was the ultimate commitment to the project. The first and most critical phase was stabilization. The next challenge was the exterior. Teams of workers began the painstaking process of sandblasting the entire outer surface of the ship, taking the structure back to its bare steel. Parallel to the structural work, the interior was being systematically gutted, leaving behind a vast, hollow space within the ship, a blank canvas for the architects and designers. Every design decision became a delicate balancing act between preserving the past and building for the future. The team decided to preserve key elements that told the ship's story. For the guest rooms, however, the approach was different. Partitions were removed to create larger, more spacious suites, each with a private balcony looking out over the sea. This careful curation of old and new creates a powerful sense of place. The hotel is not just a building that looks like a ship, it is a ship that has become a building. Finally, in 2019, after 9 years of toil, investment, and determination, the project was complete. Total investment, approximately $25 million. The gates opened and the first guests were welcomed aboard. What was once a rusting relic condemned to the scrap heap now stood as a gleaming white testament to an audacious vision. Its journey from scrap to splendor was finally complete. When we look at the gleaming white hull of the Doulos Phos Hotel today, it's easy to forget the ghost ship it once was, shrouded in fog and decay. But this story was never just about a ship. It's about perception, the difference between looking and truly seeing. Value doesn't simply disappear when something becomes old or non-functional. It doesn't vanish. It becomes invisible to those who've stopped looking. The Doulos Phos is a reminder. Look deeper, question assumptions, Seek hidden potential. The line between scrap and history can be one person's vision. Transformation begins when someone dares to see a different future. Value is never lost, only waiting to be rediscovered. If you enjoyed this story, like this video and subscribe to Empire Stories, because the next transformation might be even more impossible than this one.